everybody. This is the What's Up for Your Children call, and it's what is it, May 4th, 2021. So let's start where we always start, which is in the which is in the heart. So let's start breathing into that heart space and exhaling out 360 degrees. There we go. And just kind of like finding that awe that we were just talking about, that relaxation in the body. So again, deep inhale into the heart space and exhaling out 360 degrees. And maybe even whatever question you brought today, or whatever information has been swirling around or experiences have been swirling around, let's just breathe those into the heart space and exhale those out 360 degrees. Just relaxing into the space. There we go. All right. All right, that's settled some of it. So let's see where we're going today.
How to best support new grandson and his parents. I like to offer childcare 2 days a week. This means I would move to their town, or I stay here and visit them once a month or so. What best supports all of us?
Well, that's a good question, and it's a good question, and I want to point you kind of back to your own knowing around that, because there's something in you that's already so desirous within your own self to participate, right? To participate and to nurture and to support and to help grow that family. And so if we turn you back toward you, if we put you back, into your own awareness, then I think the first thing to really acknowledge is there is this deep desire to both for yourself and for them to participate. Yeah, to have a deep connection and a deep participation in the upbringing of this new one, and so as far as your question about moving or going to them, well, let's do it this way. So if you put yourself in the energy of traveling to them, is that enough participation for you? Is that enough interaction for you? And I'm pointing it back to you because as you're filled up by the experience, you're going to notice that the parents are filled up by the experience, the child is filled up by the experience. So I know we have a tendency sometimes to, what can I do for them? But first, what does this do in your own heart space? What does this do for you? And in that filled up space, you're naturally and organically going to be filling up their space. You're going to be filling up there and being of support to them. So if we go to being distant from them and traveling, or I think the excitement comes in being close, is what I keep hearing. So, it makes me smile actually, because I know that feeling. I'm a grandmother who moved closer to my grandson, as well. And so, it's like, if you just put yourself in both of those scenarios, where does your face light up? And for me anyway, having you be close, lights it up. At least that's how I view it. So, I hope that's helpful.
Okay, I have a very long question.
Okay.
I'll just go for it. Okay. In my family of four, and I am in a family of four, and my extended families, I alone in my choice not I choose not to have the vaccine.
Correct.
My 19, almost 20-year-old daughter is and has been clear that she will take it, and after her dad got the first shot, she went and got hers. They are both due to get their second shot this week and next. My almost 18-year-old son just shared that he is planning on getting the vaccine after his school soccer season ends in June. I shared the videos you shared with their dad and the extended family, and I offered the video to the kids who declined to watch.
Mhm,
My, my stated preference with the family was to at least wait for a year and see how everything rolls out, but I
mhm,
have no support for that idea. I do not wish to create fear, and I do believe that the human body is capable of transmuting all energies, especially when one is in a state of love and self empowerment for themselves.
mhm,
So I am squaring myself with my kids' choices. I will say that my kids do not seem to be taking the vaccine out of fear. They are not afraid of getting COVID or do not have the belief that the vaccine is going to save us all physically. But the vaccine seems to be the way out of the restrictions in place so that they are fine with getting it.
mhm,
My choice is not getting my choice is not getting it is more that it seems out of alignment with my focus on living intuitively and how I keep myself healthy. I heard that the children's sanctuary call and wondering if you can talk more further on the wall, or maybe the conversation is really about how human choice to alter the physical body doesn't have to matter if we step into our power of being a 5D creator, and our reality is how we create it from within to outward instead of outward to within.
mhm. This is such a thanks for asking this question. And I want to just look at this one flat out energetically, because I've got my own biases and I've got um, my own thoughts about it. And what I will say first is that the conversation I've been having with myself and with the people who have been asking me this question is this first, is again, what are we? I mean, and what I've noticed is that people who are having a tendency to choose the vaccine have a tendency to see themselves as I'm a physical human being first, and I'm a soul, an essence, somebody who is evolving in consciousness, and a creator second. Right, that's usually the I haven't seen that deviation in all the people I've talked to so far. um, and so then we say, okay, we have people who have one perception of themselves as as who they are, and another group that has a perception of what they are, right? And so the who they are very often will be choosing, making that kind of choice. So that's great. So those are the two dynamics. So from the perspective of the one who, let's say, is more connected to what they are, and or is interested in being more aware of what they actually are, the essence, the soul, the creator, right? From that perspective, that person would not get the vaccine because they would not endanger anything that was going to cut that connection, right? If that's your primary goal, if that's your primary experience and reason for having this human experience, is to reestablish your connection or to know that connection, you wouldn't do it, right? You just don't do it. So then we go to this whole idea of, okay, somebody chooses to have it. We don't want to put them in fear. The human mind is capable of all kinds of amazing feats. I mean, I've seen people, you know, uh, heal themselves and reconnect themselves to all kinds of things. And so here's where it gets a little. Um, I completely understand that, right? And I've watched a lot of people. I know a lot of people who have had the vaccine that have that belief system, and at least on the surface, on the surface, don't have any anxiety, fear, or stress, because they believe that they can unwind it, they can change it, right? If there is something that's going on, there's a belief in the unwinding and the changing of it. So what here's the little caveat, and this is the part, I'll be honest, I'm still working through this one myself. Here's the issue. For the person who believes they need a vaccine, and we're going to talk about this two ways, because you've got the person who believes they need the vaccine, and you have the person who wants the vaccine out of convenience, right? Those are two different groups. For the person who thinks they need the vaccine, that person is not yet aware enough of themselves and or in a high enough frequency within themselves to actually transmute that vaccine. You see what I'm saying? If they believe they need it, then you're already talking about somebody who is disconnected from the part of that, the totality of what they are, and that part or that aspect of them, that wholeness of them, is what would be putting that, is what would be it's what would be transmuting that energy in the first place, right? So you've got a group that says, oh, I can just transmute it. Well, if you believe you have to have it, my guess is that that's a slippery slope for me, right? So then we have the other group that says, okay, I don't believe that I need it. I don't believe that I don't believe that I need it. I don't believe it's going to heal anything, right? Or help anything. I just want it because I need to be able to get on that airplane, or I need to go into that job, or I need to be able to do whatever it is. So again, what you've pretty much got people coming back into this place of, I still need to abide by somebody else's rules. I still need to do what somebody else wants me to do in order to have dominion over my own life. And so in that way, they are also abdicating their power to another authority. So, and when we say, I would, in that case, honestly, I would almost rather see, and I know a lot of these younger kids, especially, are, it's like they don't want to be inconvenienced. They want to be able to go hang out with their friends. They want to be able to get on a plane, go somewhere. They want to be able to go back to what they've been doing. And I completely get it. I completely get that. And that idea, but the bottom line is I almost rather see that population really standing up and taking a stand and saying, pushing against it, pushing against that authoritarian kind of energy that says you will do this in order for us to do this. Does that make sense? It's like, so either way, and again, what I've also noticed is, in some cases, the kids have it, and their bodies are strong, their immune systems are strong, and there is no notice whatsoever initially of any trouble with this vaccine, right? So there's no initial awareness. The body's doing great, right? What is being shown and demonstrated right now is there are some issues with fertility that are coming out in relationship to the vaccine. It is pretty much eugenics, in one way or another. I hate to say it, but So again, there are all of these different dimensions and levels to this particular um, conversation. And my own choice is no. It's I but again, my choice is also coming from this place of I am I'm using this life experience to return to what I actually am. This is the whole picture for me. I understand that it's not for everybody else, but what I do have to say is there is there is something really, I'll say there's something I mean, it's nefarious. There's something that there's an agenda behind it. And and I also have to say that people really have to find their way through this. I mean, it's not like this cut and dry, because you are going to have some people who get this vaccine and continue to live their life and never have any sense that there is a repercussion for it. Yep, they just, right? You have other people who received the vaccine and really thought it was a great thing for them, only to find out that now they're having some physical challenges. You have, and I think what let's if we take vaccine, the whole thing out of it, I think the deeper piece here, the much deeper piece, is how are we relating to ourselves? What matters to us in our lives? I mean, what really matters? And people have to live with those choices, period. And it doesn't matter whether they're your children, or they're your parents, or your best friend. At the end of the day, what's happening right now, and I think in many ways that this is maybe a hard lesson, but a very good one for us all to be learning. Ultimately, we are personally responsible for our own lives. Our own choices, they matter not just to us, but they matter to those around us. Yeah. And so I think this is the deeper conversation within us. I know I've got 4 kids myself, so I've had it with my own children. And have one daughter that is a nurse, so that was the one that I was kind of at, really concerned. And but they're I mean, they've had me as a mother for way too long already. So even if they were going in that direction, that voice in their head says something a little bit different, or my voice in their head says something a little bit different. But even that, at the end of the day, if they choose it, I just keep sharing with them that these are decisions that we're making for ourselves, and we are responsible for the repercussions of that. Nobody else. We can't turn around and say, "Oh my gosh, something happened." Okay, yeah, something happened, and that was, yeah, we chose it. Yeah. So I hope that's helpful. So it's a doozy of a conversation, I gotta say. It's a big one. Yeah. And it's heart-wrenching in so many ways, because I think what we're also realizing is that just because just because we have a particular perception doesn't mean we can pass it on. It's and at the end of the day, I think the other piece for me that I had to really work through was hearing people that I love dearly say that they were getting it. One, because she thought she needed to travel, and another one because her kids really wanted her to have it, and another one because she does, not my daughter, but somebody else that does work in a medical facility, that they wanted, her to have it. And so and at first it was like, oh my gosh, it's like I felt like there was a separation, like there was this, just there was a separation. And the piece that I really had to come back to, is regardless of somebody's choices, I have to still be able to love that person. I still want to have an open heart, and I don't want to isolate or separate, um, just because that is the choice. But what I do notice is that has a tendency to happen. Not because I'm choosing it, but there's it's a frequency thing. There's a different frequency band, and those energies do have a tendency to, um, take different paths. Yeah. And can we still love somebody even when they're taking a different path? Yeah. Yeah. It's like, ah, I can feel it in my heart space. Yeah. So let's clear this one out here while we're here. So no sense keeping it stuck. So let's just intend that it's our voice is from love. It's not even from, I mean, we're all got all kinds of information floating through now that we're not exactly sure what to do with until we are. And then we make that decision and we make it for ourselves. But what we say to others is, no matter whether it's kind of direct and to the point or not, it's from love. Let's just allow the throat to vibrate in love. Let the heart be guiding, our own choices, and loving those who are making their choices. Yeah. Yeah. We just don't know what a soul is choosing, and we don't know why it's choosing what it's choosing. And this is another thing, this is another opportunity for all of us, is like, can we trust the soul's journey? Right, we got to say what we need to say, we got to put it out there, we got to say, these are my belief systems and this is why. But can, at the end of the day, with that information given, can we trust the soul's journey, even when that soul is connected to our kid, or our parents or somebody that we love? And that, man, let's if you want a nice, opportunity for growth, that's one right there. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so anyway, let's throat, pull all this energy out of the throat that's in conflict, that's afraid to say what it needs to say because it doesn't want to create fear, and it's also, just feels an obligation to say what it needs to say because it has some sense of knowing as to what is right for it, right? Yeah, so all that throat energy, we're going to pull that out and move that through. Yeah. Huh. And then let's go into it's okay. Yeah, pulling it out of the throat. And then we're going to go into the heart space, And just, we're going to enhance this heart energy, just going to enhance the knowing through the heart, going to enhance the knowing through the heart of what we are, from that creator perspective. Anything is possible. Yeah. And at the end of the day, from that creator perspective, the creator's love, that's it. The creator's love. It unifies. And for some reason, regardless of choice, think this is the more important and predominant experience. Yeah. Invited through love to love as love. Or are we throwing people back into separation? That's what it, yeah. That makes sense? Yeah, feels like it made sense because it just got still. Tracking it back to what's the most important thing, you know, at the end of the day. And there's been so much division, so much separation, you know. I don't know about you guys, but I just gotta turn it off sometimes and just go, no, it's what am I interested in here? What am I interested in being here, creating here, experiencing here? And it's flat out. It's always the same thing. Just love. And to me, love is that which unites. It's that simple. Any other definition for me just doesn't hold water. Love is something that unites, period. The totality. It's all that is, ever has been, ever will be. Yeah. So, that was fun. That conversation. Thank you. Gives me more food for thought.
Question is, as a creator, can we also neutralize it, if not transform the vaccine within us, if we decide to go for it?
You know, this question has come up too, and I've listened to other people speak about this as well. And if you know yourself as a creator, if you know yourself that you can transform or transmute anything, then you probably can. Yeah. My question to myself is always, do I know that about myself? You know, do I actually know that about myself? I mean, I've watched myself transmute all kinds of things in my lifetime. And so, one, do I actually know that about myself? And can I make that choice, you know, with zero energy around it whatsoever? Okay. And then the other side of it, the other question I ask myself is, okay, so if I make that choice and I believe I can unwind it, and I make that choice and then I feel like I need to unwind it, again, do I want to spend my energy unwinding this, or do I want to spend my energy creating from love? And so to me, it's just, again, it's just an energetic, where do I want to place my energy? And again, the response is always the same to me, or at least I get there sooner or later. So sometimes I in between. But does that make sense? I mean, if you know it, then yes, yeah. I just wonder on this planet how many people know that. Yeah. And the other side I will say is that just because it is received, and I'm talking strictly on a human physical experience level, it doesn't mean you're going to have a terrible physical human experience because you have it. You know, it's like, again, it's like, what are we looking at here? We gotta look at what we're actually addressing here. So yeah, not an easy one.
Okay, so this question is, our 5-year-old's expression of anger and frustration lately have been heightened, and in addition to his self Andrew's behavior, he is now getting more physical with others, including his little brother.
Yeah.
Other than the typical approach to redirect or interject as a parent, or instead of just trying to eliminate the source of what is causing his frustration, is there anything else to this that I am missing for him? There's more, but it's a longer question, so I'm going to stop there.
Yeah. Okay. So there's two things I want to say here. First, um, just put in Sharon's chat box, Brooke, just put in what is it that you want for him? Like if I just asked you, what do you want for him? He's aggressive, he's going through all this. What is it that you want for him?
To communicate words or otherwise.
Okay. Okay. So we're gonna this is two different places we're gonna go here. So the first thing I want to say is we're going to clear out some of the anger, frustration, and irritation because not all of that's his. And so we're just going to do a little cleanup energetically right now on that particular thing. But this is the other side. The other side of it is that you must have been looking over my shoulder while I was writing the newsletter that we're going to put out later today, because that's what the monthly, that's what the Children's Sanctuary call is going to be about. Hold on a second. Okay, so first we're going to do a cleanup of some of the energy because not all of that energy and frustration is his. Second, I understand that you want him to communicate because you believe that that communication is going to reduce his frustration, right? It's like you believe that that communication will reduce his frustration. So I asked you, what you wanted for him, because what you want for him, you really want for you. Yeah. What I really want for me is I want my kid to communicate with me. What I really want for me is I really want him to have some words to say so that I'm not so frustrated with what's going on. Yeah. So first we're just going to acknowledge that and we're going to love ourselves through that experience. It's like, it's true. That's what I want. It may or may not be what he can give you in this moment. Yeah. But what I want you to, we're going to do this cleanup, but the other side of that cleanup is I really want you to give to yourself. I really want you to hold within yourself this deep compassion, this deep, I'm going to say even forgiveness around wanting him to communicate so that you can feel better, right? And also I want you to look at what do you need to communicate so that you can feel better. Yeah, because they're all looped up together. Yeah. So what?
She also put to express what's bothering him.
Yeah, it's the same thing. This is exactly what we're getting to. So there's something that's bothering you, right? There's something that's bothering you. And so what happens is, and this is really going to work because I've been working with people for the last few weeks, and this is what keeps coming up. One, we can clean up the energy, and two, we need to look at what is it that we want for our children. Yep. And then turn that around and acknowledge that it's what we want for ourselves. I want you to be able to communicate something that's bothering you. I want you to be able to have a voice to say what you really want to say when things are bothering you. Yeah. So they're paired. Yeah. Okay, so let's we're just gonna bring him here. So yeah, okay, I got it. Yeah. Um, so ask Zach the same question. What does he want for Carter? Right? What I mean, really, what does he want? And have him do the same thing, because if you do this as a triad, it's really gonna be beautiful. Yeah. So let's get Carter here, and let's see what else. Okay, so we're just gonna clear. It's like anger, rage, frustration. I got so much that I, you know, would like to communicate, but can't, won't. I'm not ready to. I'm a little bit fearful of it, right? So all that energy that is moving through him, part of it belongs to him, part of it doesn't. We're going to pull all that up and out of his field. It just makes me laugh. And put it in a sphere out in front of us. We'll blue star that. We'll spin that to clear, compress and condense it. Okay. And we'll return that to before it was ever created. And so, Brooke, anywhere where you have something to say, right? You have something to say and you want to say it and you can't quite say it, and there might be a fear around saying it. Maybe sometimes you think you can't, or sometimes you just don't feel like you will, that same kind of energy. We're going to just pull that all up and out of your field too, and all up and out of that throat chakra for you. Yeah, just pull it out and through. And we'll place that in a sphere. We'll spin it to clear, and we'll return that to before it was ever created. Yeah. And whatever it is that Zach wants for him, same thing, just to relax, to calm down, to be able to be in his body, to be able to maybe not be as emotional, or as all those qualities, yep, that Zach may see in himself that he also sees in Carter. We're going to pull all those energies up and out and place that in a sphere out in front of us. And we'll blue star that and spin that to clear. Yeah, compress and condense it. We'll return that to before it was created. And so, yeah, okay. So all we're going to do here, Brooke, is I just want you to just pay attention to the things that you want to say. Yep. And even if you don't say them outright, write them down, say them to yourself, get in your car, drive somewhere, just say what you need to say. Give yourself permission to say what you need to say. Yeah. And in doing so, you're going to be supporting the energetics of giving Carter permission to say what he needs to say. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully this helps, since we kind of missed a little connection the other day. So hopefully this will.
Okay, there's a second part to this question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yesterday, we stuck to our schedule more aggressively with constant supplement therapies and energetic awareness. He was more vocal with noises and words, and we noticed he seemed to feel better in his body in general. However, this morning when we dropped him off to therapy away from the house, was this him showing that he was more aware of his surroundings and responding appropriately as a 5-year-old, that he was not thrilled with having to go to school therapy where there are more demands on him, or is there something else?
Um, well, number one, first, great observation. Great. I mean, you're already honing into some of the nuances of him, and even the fluctuations in his energy. Where what makes what creates an environment, physically, mentally, emotionally, that is supportive, and what doesn't, right? So again, I'm going to take it back to what we talked about before. Same thing for you guys, same thing for parents, right? What creates an environment that actually supports you? Yeah. And so this is, he's just directing me back, Brooke, and I know that that can be frustrating in and of itself, but he's just directing me back to kind of go, okay, it's, yes, he's like ecstatic that you noticed that. He definitely was more connected to himself and in his body in those moments, more aware that he had choice, and that he could actually um, verbalize that choice. Yeah. And so this goes back to whatever it is that you can say or want to say. There's something here. Let's take this back. What helps you in your own experience feel like you have greater choice? Yeah. What helps you feel? There we go. We got it. Yeah. What helps you feel like you have greater choice? Yeah. And choosing that. Yeah, I feel like I have greater choice when my body feels comfortable. When I take my vitamins, or when I do this, da da da, my body feels okay. I feel better. I have more choice when I feel better in my body. Yeah. I have more choice when I get some time to myself. I have more choice when I yell when I need to yell, because that's what I need to say, right? I have more choice. You see what I'm saying? If you just go through that little exercise, yeah, you already got it. You're so good. Yeah, yeah, so good. Thank you. All right. Any other question?
Okay. How to communicate with my 15-year-old daughter who is semi-verbal, and she throws tantrums, hits herself or me, and how do I know what she needs?
Um, okay, so this is a good broad angle question, and then we'll fine tune it just a little bit for more specifics. But so, number one, children, no matter what their challenges or lack thereof are, they are communicating all the time. They're always communicating. So headbanging is a communication. Everything's a communication. So, but before we're going to learn that language of communication, we need to understand our relationship to it. We need to understand our relationship to communication and to communicating with them. And just like I was just saying to Brooke, the first thing you want to pay attention to is, one, how is she already communicating? What are the ways in which she communicates? And when she communicates, either through screaming or yelling or a head bang or something, how does that make you feel? What does that bring up for you? In the moment that she's in that place, our first question to ourselves is always, what is that registering in my body? How does that make me feel? Right? Because the minute you register that feeling, you can almost guarantee that that's what she's trying to communicate. That's what she's trying to communicate. So if I'm an autistic individual and I'm banging my head, right? And my parent is watching me bang my head. Okay, for the parent, how does that parent feel? As the parent, I feel frustrated and scared and confused, and I want it to stop, right? All of those things that you feel are exactly the communication that's being given through that. And so when we recognize that, we can first, okay, oh my gosh, we're going to have compassion for ourselves. We're going to have love for ourselves. We're going to feel into that and have that love and compassion. When we do that, that in and of itself will start neutralizing the energy that's creating frustration, irritation, blah, 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 right? So we start to neutralize that energetic field. And then there are going to be other layers to that. There may very well be biological, psychological, neurological ramifications of those behaviors, but we can't create an environment to actually hear and interact with our children, especially when they're nonverbal, if we haven't first figured out what that initial message is. And the message that you get for you is 110% the message that's coming from your daughter. Yeah. And just like we were saying with Brooke, is when we address that message for ourselves and within ourselves, then it's like, oh my gosh, I just got a message. I just got a message from my kid. Yeah. I understand what they're trying to say. Yeah. And we treat that with love and compassion. Yeah. So, okay. So I want to see if there's anything else here for her specifically.
Can I interject?
Huh? Go
She
ahead.
she lately started playing with her poo, and the mom's spending the whole day cleaning.
Yeah, right. So again, how does that make you feel? Are you victimized by, are you feeling victimized by her um, inability to control her body? Right? Are you feeling, are you kind of like feeling like a slave to her experience? It's like, let's just play. And I'm not saying that either one of those is specifically it, but you get the gist. It's like, what does that bring up? Yeah. Because, and again, let's say that is a behavioral issue. Let's say that that's a behavioral issue, and that it's kind of a learned behavior to maybe get attention or to have some control over her body or to whatever. Again, we're not going to get to those messages until we first ask ourselves, how does that experience make us feel? Yeah, I'm cleaning up poop, you know, it makes me feel what, right? And again, that first, it makes me feel whatever that is, that's the first place that we want to understand. This is what she's feeling. This is the first impetus, let's say, that's creating that behavior. That's layer number one. Yeah. And sometimes just by getting to that awareness, that behavior, I watch this often, that behavior can start to transform, right? And it's also true that, let's say it is a learned behavior. Let's say it's become a habit. First, we want to, how does that make me feel? Because that's how let's say she's feeling that way. Let's just, even if it's not exactly how she's feeling, by us knowing how we feel, that's starting to take some of that pressure off of her. And then let's say that the next layer of that is that this is a learned behavior. we're not going to we're not going to be able to stand up and create new boundaries or create a new trajectory as to how we handle that or how she learns from that or how we're not going to be able to do any of that behavioral stuff until we actually understand how we feel about it. Yeah. So we have to get that piece first and then we can layer out the other parts. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, because a lot of times, kids end up having all kinds of behaviors that they just keep using over and over again, hoping that at some point the message is going to be received. So the behavior, and after a while, those patterns become habitual, right? So sometimes we get the message and sometimes we understand what the message is, but because it's been habitual for a while, we also have to kind of reorient that behavior. We have to give them a new structure for that behavior, but we can't do that unless we know what the behavior stems from. Yeah. So, all right. Thank you. All right.
That's it on questions.
All right. Thanks so much. Okay. So, oh my gosh. Thank you, everybody. I mean, these are deep, real, authentic questions. I mean, this is such a, you know, especially right now, we would all like our lives to be, as easy as possible, as graceful as possible. And and we do come to those places. We ebb and flow through those places. But we also know that sometimes when we are confronted with really um, deeper challenges, those are the places where we really dive into the deeper aspects of ourselves. Those are the places where we really dive into a deeper level of our own knowing or our own strength or our own capacity. It's the place where we start to really, I'm going to say, grow and develop and mature and become aware of what we actually are. Yeah. So, again, lots of crappy days within this last year, lots of crappy days within, life in general. We ebb and flow through that all the time. But again, it's like, let's just cut ourselves some slack. Let's just go back to that heart space and have some compassion for the fact that it's noisy out there. It's noisy out there. And yeah, and there's a lot of things to cipher through. And we can only do it one moment at a time, you know? Yeah, here we go. All right, I think that's it. Noise and all. Yeah, so, all right. Anything else before we call it a day? All right. All right. Lots of love to everybody. Thanks for being here. And yeah, thanks for doing the work. Love you. Bye.